Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dr. Erica Pryor, and I am super excited to submit this workforce alignment plan proposal to the Franklin Center team. Normally, I would do this, which is walk you through the proposal, talk to you a little bit more about myself, answer any questions that you might have. I recognize that not every proposal process includes that feedback opportunity or that interview opportunity. So I wanted to be sure to share with you a brief video about myself, about the team, walk you through the proposal, perhaps answer any questions that you might have, and then, of course, invite you to send along any questions that you have. Would love to connect with you in an interview, talk more about your process, talk more about the center and some of the goals and aspirations that you have for the center. But in the event that that doesn't happen before we kick off a project together, let's go ahead and jump over to the proposal and we can talk through a little bit more about the proposal and myself and the company and why, number one, why we're really excited about this project. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here like a pro. I feel like I'm a pro. Alrighty, so on my screen is the proposal. Hopefully, you're able to see that and know that. Again, we are Epic Creative and Design, and I am super excited to submit this proposal to you, Corey White, and also to you, Danielle Poe, with the Franklin Center. We are an Ohio-based business, and we are certified WMBE and MBE in the state of Ohio. Additional company information you'll be able to find here. I am your main point of contact, and so my phone number and email address are here for you to reach out to me with any questions or concerns that you might have. Now, here in the statement of interest, I really try and lay out for you why I'm excited about this project, why my team is excited about this project. I will say that I am an LLC, I'm a women owned business. And so, what I typically do is pull together experts for a project team. So all of the experts that I have pulled together for this project team, I've had the opportunity to work with them for a couple of years in a number of different capacities and really believe that they bring a lot of expertise to the project, but also a lot of passion and excitement for workforce development, for ecosystem building, for community building, for higher education, for career readiness and career training. And that's one of the reasons why we're excited because those are kind of all of the topics that we love to be a part of. And it's not every day that you get to see like workforce and economic development and some of those other areas, higher education, community organizing, and outreach. It's not every day that projects come along that you see all of those intersection points. So when they do, we get excited and we want to throw our names in the hat and be considered for an opportunity to contribute to grow impact and grow economic prosperity across communities. So that's what makes us excited. That's why we are interested in being your partner and collaborating with you on this project. As I said, Epic Creative and Design is the name of my company. We are woman owned LLC. We also so we do consulting and then we do training. And the training brand that we utilize is we do business as Epic Learning Today. Whether we're doing consulting or whether we're doing training, we really kind of operate in three specialty areas, which is marketing, sales, and storytelling. And so that's where we do a lot of our work. And we really run around in those industries of economic development, of community development, of entrepreneur support, workforce training, career readiness training. In the last 5 to 7 years, I've done projects in all of those areas, and our team has done projects in all of those areas as well. So, a little bit on the team infrastructure. I'll be your lead consultant and project manager. I'll be managing most of the project. I do have a coordinator who is also provides support with communication and scheduling. Her name is Allison Neal. She's also on the team, so we're very excited to have her. And then we have two strategic advisors, Gloria Ware and Kinsey Fitzpatrick. And both of those individuals are going to help with high level analysis, assessment, as well as recommendations, drawing on their experience and expertise. So, a little bit about my background here. I won't go through all of the things. You'll obviously be able to read those. One thing that I want to point out is that I did work with Jobs Ohio, which is the state of Ohio's nonprofit private economic development company, and I was responsible for putting together two annual reports and strategic plans. So those annual reports provide job creation numbers, investment numbers, and economic development activity across the state of Ohio in 9 different target industries. Also includes sites and workforce development and talent. And when I hired in for this job, I always tell people this was the best, hardest job I ever had. When I hired in for the position, I had worked a little bit in economic development at the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center, which was the first public private innovation space in the region, doing a lot of marketing and outreach. So I knew a little bit about it. I knew a little bit about how collaborators come in and how the state and the county and the city kind of work together, how a private business owner rented his building because he wanted activity into it for $1 to the city. Like, that's the story. So I kind of knew a little bit, but then I moved into working with Jobs Ohio. And as I said, that's the state's economic development engine. There's 9 target industries, and including things like Shell Petrochemicals, of course, advanced manufacturing, health tech. So I got the best crash course in economic development one could have, because I hired in November, and the annual report is due to the governor's office by legislative mandate by, I think, like March 9th. So we didn't have a lot of time between November and March 9th to get that report together, but we did, and it was amazing. And look, I get excited just talking about it because it was a really fun project. I get excited about deep dive projects where I get to really sort of like dig in and analyze and understand like what the nuances and patterns are, and be able to sort of create that into something that people can understand. And by the end of my time working at Jobs Ohio, the annual report was something people no longer feared and ran away from me when I was coming, but were excited about the opportunity to contribute and be a part of that storytelling enterprise. Also with Jobs Ohio, worked with the Republican National Convention when the convention was held in Cleveland, Ohio. Also worked with Techstars when the FounderCon event was hosted in Cincinnati, Ohio, which was the first time outside of Boulder. So have done a lot of different things with the state of Ohio in different places and spaces. I always tell people how it's really just a big, small state. And so we spend a lot of time kind of back and forth. So I love the opportunity of getting engaged in Virginia and in your community and learning more and digging in, and also bringing an outsider's perspective, and hopefully bringing some different ideas that have been tested and best practices that have been utilized. Allison Neal, she'll be our project coordinator. She is also the operations manager here for Epic Creative and Design. And so she is our operations task management wizard. And so we really appreciate all of her help on projects to keep them on task and moving. As I said, she'll be doing a lot of the scheduling and interacting with stakeholders to make sure people know what's going on, people are adequately updated, and they're able to participate and engage as needed. Our other two project contributors, Kinsey Fitzpatrick and Gloria Ware, are both assigned the role of strategic advisor. And so Gloria brings a great deal of experience with her in the areas of ecosystem building and economic development. She is a financial services professional of 35 years. She's worked in regional economic development lending. She's worked in grant making. She's been in philanthropy, then traditional banking. And a lot of it has been around how to prepare entrepreneurs and business owners to access capital, and then how to move more amounts of capital into underserved businesses so that they can grow and thrive. So I'm excited to have her on the team to be able to provide some strategic recommendations to who has worked with a number of different communities, rural, urban, suburban, helping them build their economic ecosystems. I think one of the most recent projects, she worked with the city of Dayton and helped them develop a concise economic development plan, similar to the type of plan that you want to pull together for your community and for the Franklin Center. So I'm excited to have her on the team. Kinsey Fitzpatrick is also on the team, and Kinsey and Gloria and I, we all work together as well with 1 Million Cups and with the Kauffman Foundation. So that's one of the ways that all three of us know each other, which probably doesn't necessarily come out here, but I want to make sure that I amplify that. So we all have a great experience with working together and also collaborating, because 1 Million Cups, and Kinsey is the regional representative for, I think it's the Southeast region for the 1MC program, which includes a number of different states and their programs. And that is a volunteer-led entrepreneur community organization. And so Kinsey leads the volunteers in those different communities, helps them continue to sustain the work that they're doing, helps them create and develop outreach and engagement strategies that are going to bring more entrepreneurs, more also supporters and community advisors and other folks into that 1MC community and continue to grow it and to thrive it in those different locations. So Kinsey has a real heart for growing communities and supporting the individuals and the volunteers and the organizers in those communities to help them grow and to help them do the work that they're doing. So I love kind of our top bottom playbook. And not mentioned here, but also we have a bookkeeper. Her name is Elle Fields. She'll be on the project as well, providing some budgetary support and guidance. Now, one of the things that I think is probably unique about our team, because we have been doing this work for a while, we have a lot of great partnerships and collaborations that we can bring to bear, especially when we're developing that plan, right? Once we've sort of identified what are the specific needs, then sort of identifying the local resources, and then perhaps the regional and the national resources that may be able to help support implementation of that plan. And so I wanted to include, again, a list of our partners and collaborators that we have available that can really chime in. They could be a part of recommendations, they could be additional collaborators in the future. So one collaborator that I want to bring to your attention, the City of Columbus, Department of Economic Development. So currently right now I work with the City of Columbus running a sales training program, and they're a statewide leader in developing a small business agenda and then really implementing that agenda for about the last 5 years. So I know how valuable it is to speak with others in your industry that are doing similar types of work, both in your market and outside of your market. So that could be a great collaborator, could be a great partner, could be a great thought partner to just sort of see how, again, other government agencies are operating in and outside of your market, and seeing what things are working and what things aren't working, and take some potential inspiration and leave some of your lessons learned. The Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, another great resource that could be tapped into. Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses, which supports growing entrepreneurs, particularly. I think it's actually just any type of small business, whether you're Main Street or tech enabled. And so we have some relationships with that organization, Green America as well, for businesses that are in the sustainability area or looking to make strides or inroads in and around sustainability. And then, of course, as we said, the Kauffman Foundation, which does make philanthropic investments to communities as well as organizations around entrepreneurship, education, the arts. And then we have access to some of these programs as well. So excited to have like a great list of collaborators. This is just a small spattering, but a list that I thought could give you an idea of who all we're coming with to the table and some of the different experiences and backgrounds that we have that really make the EPIC team a really well suited team for your project. This is a basic approach to research is what I have provided here in terms of our guiding principles and rationale. So the basic approach to research and the way that we do community-based research is really around collaboration, clarity, adaptability, evidence, and then sustainability and ownership. And so really we want to ask the questions that you have already posed to ask. What are the training and resource opportunities? What are the gaps that are existing? And then what's the implementation plan to move that forward? And so I have created a bit of a timeline here. We do believe 15 to 20 weeks is probably a good timeline. It could be curt or quick, depending on the review process and the turnaround process that you have internally. But recently I was on a project called Women at Work, and we did an environmental scan to try and identify the barriers that are preventing unemployed or underemployed women from returning to the workplace. So we did the environmental scan, and then we developed a training program based on the feedback from the environmental scan. That scan was about a 4-month project. So what we're looking at here, and it moved quickly. And so I know it's possible. It again depends on the pace that you want to move at and what is important to you. I can imagine you might say to yourself, we want to get this done before the end of the year so that we have an implementation plan set for 2026 that we can move forward with implementing. So in that case, then we would probably move quickly with that 3 to 4 months. If you're not necessarily looking at that timeline or your office or your review process, you can anticipate that it can add some time in there, then it may take a little bit longer than that. But simply have gone through here and really identified, because again, just taking like a basic research project approach, identified like what happens in each phase of that. So we have our activation and our kickoff phase, where we're setting up our standards and our frequencies and our timelines and expectations. Then we'll do discovery and data collection, which is about 3 to 7 weeks. We will create a survey. We'll do some stakeholder interviews and focus groups during that time. Then we have analysis and interpretation. And so this is kind of the longer part of the process, because this is where we now try and put our arms around all of the data that we've collected. We're triangulating. So we are doing the focus groups, we are doing the stakeholder interviews, and then we are doing surveys. Then we're reviewing all of the data, slide decks, training programs, calendars, any reports that you have done, we're reviewing that. So that's what's happening in that analysis and interpretation phase. And so to ensure that we are not totally off the mark with what we're coming up with, we do an initial findings review. During that initial findings review, we provide some of the kind of first broad strokes first impressions, what the data, what the qualitative data is telling us in terms of patterns or trends, what the quantitative data is telling us, also in terms of patterns and trends that have numbers or stats or data, number or stats behind them. So that is what we're doing. We're presenting that to you, and we are gathering some feedback from you to better understand if we are hitting the mark with what you have anticipated, and if this makes sense based on your knowledge and experience of the center, of the stakeholders, partners, and your market. So once we've done that initial findings review, we move into reporting and share out. And this is where we create the final report, we create the final implementation plan. You have asked for a couple different types of reports, so, or I guess I'd say sections. So that's where we go through and we make sure that we are responding to everything in each section and answering those questions based on the data that we have collected, and then offering those implementation plan and recommendations. And then the final phase is going to be the wrap up and next steps. That's where we will be sharing with your leadership team our results and what things look like. And then we hear from you, and we summarize and we kind of ensure that we have hit all of the needs and deliverables that you have requested in the project. So that's kind of your project plan overview, kind of week by week, play by play. So hopefully this timeline gives you a better indication of how you might want to plan kickoff to completion, and then what that would look like from our side, engaging you in that process. The detailed scope of work just really gives a more specific outline of the activities and deliverables that we would anticipate during each phase of the project, not just the activities that are happening, but also the deliverables that we would anticipate providing to you at the end of each of those phases. And then we have some exclusions of things that we're not able to do based on what the project calls for. But just to make sure that, we're all on the same page of what is included and what isn't included, so we don't experience scope creep, but we are ensured to deliver what you're asking for. We next just have the budget resources and allocation. So we did see that 35,000 is your total budget. And so we are prepared to deliver 320 hours of professional service to the start and completion of this project. Obviously, a big bulk of the hours are going to be taken up here on the front end with the data collection, with the analysis, and with the discovery, right? So that's a big portion of the time, is just getting all of that information in, synthesizing all of that information. Then another big thing that comes out of that time is also the reporting that happens. So that's what is happening here with these first top two lines. Then our strategic advisors, they will be brought in again to review our initial findings, to provide their feedback and insights on report, to provide their recommendations on the final implementation plan. And then if they also have any specific insights from the discovery phase, or interviews or survey data, that's where we will bring in our strategic advisors to provide that feedback and to provide that direction should it be needed in and around some of those specific areas. And then administrative and project support. So this includes the outreach and communications. This includes our stakeholder engagement and keeping your team apprised of what is happening, new client enrollment, and billing and invoicing. So we continue. So that is where that cost comes from. So as I said, we are prepared to dedicate 320 hours over a 3 to, I'll say, 6 month period or timeline based on what type of timeline your team is working on. And we are, as I said, very excited about this project because it brings together community building, economic development, workforce development, career training, ecosystem. Like it brings together all of the things that get myself and my team excited about the work here. So I am super thrilled to submit this proposal. Thank you so much for the opportunity to do so. Should you have any additional questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am excited to speak with you. I'm excited to support you, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.